Good afternoon. This is Math with Mr. Samuels. Once again, we're going to be following along with the notes as we go through this video. Make sure that you have your notes. If you don't have your notes, you lost them before you got home, just go ahead and print them out. If you do have your notes, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so now what we have are the exponents. Now we can write exponents in a number of ways. But in case exponents is in the case of repeated multiplication with the same number, we can rewrite the expression using exponents. So for example, 4 times 4 times 4 should simply be 4 to the third power. Okay, so when we're talking about exponents, this n is the exponent, and the x is known as the base. Okay, so remember, when we're talking about exponents, the x or the base is the larger number at the bottom, and obviously the smaller number up top is the exponent. And this particular example reads x to the nth power. Okay, so remember that when we have it, the x or the base is the larger number, the exponent is the smaller number, and we have this reads x to the nth power. So we're going to go ahead and do some examples down below. We have not x, we have 11 times 11. And so 11 times 11, we will rewrite it in exponent form as 11 to the second power. Now, one thing I want to point out to you guys right now is this caret that I'm using. Now, on my computer, I'm not able to write an exponent. However, you all, since you have pencil and paper, you all can write the exponent. But on a computer, whenever you want to show that it is an exponent, we use this little caret and we put to whatever power it is. So right now, the 11 is the base and the 2 is the exponent. Now, when you write it in your notes, okay, you are not going to write it right like that. You are going to simply write it as 11 to the second power. You don't need the caret when you do it on paper, but since I'm on a computer, I don't have access to it. And so we all know that 11 times 11 is, we all know that 11 times 11 is 121. Okay, I will do one more example with you, and then you're going to be responsible for the rest on your own, and we're going to discuss them in class. So right now, we have 2. We have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. How many 2's do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 2's. So this is going to be 2 to the seventh power. Okay, 2 to the seventh power. Now, if you remember, maybe you don't remember, 2 to the seventh power. Well, I know that 2 to the third power is 8, so then that would be 8 times 8, which is 64, and 64 times 2 would be 128. Okay, so 2 times 2 to the seventh power should be 128. Okay, so the rest of these you are going to do on your own. Once again, the rest of these in this list you're going to do on your own. I'm going to post the answers in class tomorrow. Okay, now you can go ahead and do them right now. Pause the video, do them, and then jump down to the bottom. So now that you are back, we're going to talk about zero exponent and a negative exponent. So any number except 0 raised to the 0 power is defined as 1. Okay, I will show you why this is in class tomorrow, but right now I want you to just realize that anytime we have a number raised to the 0 power, so let's look at these examples. 1 to the 0 power is simply 1. 2 to the 0 power is 1. 3 to the 0 power is 1. 4 to the 0 power is 1. And pretty much what you want to realize is x, we're using x as a variable. X can be any number, so that's why we're using the variable. Any number to the 0 power, whether it's a negative or positive number, fraction, decimal, whatever type of real number it is, it's always going to be 1. So we have to remember that. I will show you why tomorrow. Okay, so that means if we have 1 million to the 0 power, that's still just 1. Okay, now continuing on, the last thing we need to talk about are negative exponent rules. Okay, so for negative exponent rules, let's say we have x to the negative n power. So to make that exponent positive, we never want to have any negative exponents. To make that exponent positive, all we need to do is rewrite that number as a fraction or write it in its reciprocal form. So let me show you what we do. So we're going to go ahead and write a fraction. Ooh, that is too big. Wow. That's large. Let me make it a little smaller. Okay. Let's do 2. Okay. So we have our fraction. And in our numerator, we have 1. And we put in the denominator the x to the nth power. So x to the nth power. Okay. That looks a little weird. Let me move that over for you guys. There we go. So now you can see that a lot better. So we have, anytime we have a negative exponent, we rewrite it as its reciprocal. So we turn it into a fraction and it becomes 1 over x to the nth power. So let me show you a better example down below. So we have 5 to the negative 2 power. So we're going to rewrite it as a fraction. So here's what we have. We have 1 in the numerator and 5 to the second power in the bottom. Okay. We rewrite it as its reciprocal, 5 to the second power. Now, once again, remember, you don't have to use this caret when you're writing it on paper. I just do not have that. I'm not able to write it as an exponent on the computer, so I'm using the little caret, just to remind you. I will do one more example with you, and then you all are going to finish this, and we're going to post the answers in class, okay? So the next one, we have 8 to the negative 2 power. So we never want to have a negative exponent, so we're going to rewrite this as its reciprocal. So we're going to have 1 in the numerator, and 8 to the second power in the denominator. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and finish all of these. We're going to discuss them briefly in class tomorrow if you had any questions on any one, and complete the notes. I'm going to have the answers posted while you do your warm-up tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it briefly in class. This is Math with Mr. Samuels. Have a good evening. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow.